Okay. Yeah. Lady Wolf Pack on a whole nother level. Savage as they come, gang of female rebel. We got the sharpest claws, we got the whitest teeth. We come for your lunch, but we only bring the heat.
Hey y'all, I'm Cassidy, the favorite daughter, obviously.
And I'm Kim, her mom, her match, and the real reason she turned out halfway decent.
Welcome to Mom's Favorite, the podcast where we laugh, vent, and overshare like it's our full-time job.
Yeah. And we're coming straight to you from Austin, Texas, where the queso's hot, the opinions are hotter, and we don't sugarcoat a damn thing.
You know, just think of us as Thelma and Louise, but only they're related and they have a podcast instead of a death wish.
So go ahead and pour yourself something strong, maybe a margarita, get a little snack.
Because here on Mom's Favorite, we got a lot to unpack.
Hey y'all, Kim here, and welcome back to Mom's Favorite. Today's episode is a fun one because I'm joined by my friend and fellow podcaster, the fabulous Pam Walsh. She's a glamazon, she's funny, she's fierce, and she's got opinions, and she's not afraid to share them. We dive into everything from family life to the realities of raising a child with special needs, to finding your voice and starting something new. And somewhere in there, we managed to talk about mahjong, of all things. Pam truly has a lot to say, and trust me, you'll want to hear all of it. So grab your drink, hide your husbands, and let's get into it. So hi, we're here. I'm so excited to introduce a friend and co-podcaster friend and exciting, energetic energy that's kind of come into my life recently that has really opened my eyes to a lot of new and interesting things that I didn't think I would be interested in, which we're going to get into. I've got a couple of things specifically I want to talk about, but I'm here with Pam Walsh. Pammy Out Loud is her podcast. It is it's also Shody Media, right?
Shody Media, yes, ma'am.
And Pam and I have actually known each other actually, I'm going to go back. I've actually known Pam probably about 15 years or at least.
More than that.
And she worked at Kiker Elementary my son went to Kiker. And so I knew of her because when you're at Kiker, you're like a family. You kind of know everybody. And
absolutely.
You were kind of support team,
yeah.
IT or something. Yes. Yeah. I knew when anything wasn't working.
Call it low-tech triage is what I did.
It's amazing. I'm sure that's very helpful because I need that quite a bit too. But so, yeah, I kind of had seen you and kind of been around you a few times and kind of spoken with you about something, maybe regarding Jake or something through the years. But I knew who you were, absolutely. And then one day, Shelley said, "Have you ever heard of Pam Walsh?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah, she worked, I went into the whole thing." I go, "Yeah, she's definitely a gem. She would definitely be a great podcaster for sure."
Thank you.
So, yeah, so I think the first thing, let's kind of talk about your background just a teeny bit. I know you've done a ton. You've already talked to Shelley and I've been on hers, so I don't want to go and recreate the whole wheel of everything, but I did a little snooping on your social media, so I kind of knew what to talk about. But so are you from Canada?
I actually am from West Texas. I went to high school in Canada, though. So,
okay.
When I was about 8th grade, my parents moved up there, so I was there for high school, and it was a wonderful experience, and lots of very good friends still up there.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I love that.
It was a different experience, for a West Texas girl to move to the middle of Canada,
Right.
in the wintertime.
Right. So then did you came back, you've lived a couple of different places.
Yes.
But you settled in Austin, was that like in 1993?
Yeah, so we came back to Austin. So I came down to, like I said, I grew up in West Texas originally, then went to high school. Always wanted to go to the University of Texas. My one of my older sisters came here in the 70s, and the first time I saw the campus, I said, this is where I'm going to go. And of course, those were the days when it was a little easier to get into Texas. So I didn't even apply anywhere else. I wanted to come here. And so when I graduated from high school in 80, I came to Austin and went to UT, and then met my husband after college, was working for a few years. So we lived here until 87. So from 80 to 87, I was here. We left for a few years. We're in Boston and then Indianapolis. And now I got a chance to come back to Austin. So I've been here since 93.
That's amazing. And it's funny, you graduated in 1980. I graduated in 1982.
All
So
right.
I think I'm about 2 years behind you and everything.
There you go.
Yeah, same
Where
same
did you go to
era.
college, Kim?
Same era. I went to NAU. I went to college in Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
And I went to high school in Arizona, and kind of same thing. Everybody wanted to go, wanted to go to NAU, or mostly wanted to go to Flagstaff. But anyway, yeah. But I also came to Austin in 1995.
Okay. So
I
we've
came
been here about the
shortly-
same amount.
Yeah, this was very shortly after you did. And so had you already had in 1993, did you have your kids already?
I had
Or-
two of the three when we first. One was our oldest was born in Boston. Then the next one was in Indianapolis, and our youngest was born here in 94. So,
Okay.
so we've been all three boys.
And Brian, let's say Brian Walsh, he's
Yes.
your husband. I
Yes.
want to mention
Brian's
his
my
name, so we're not
husband,
just like talking on
Randomly
who are we
talking
talking about rando.
So God,
Um,
some guy I love.
Aw. And you've been married a long time. That's amazing.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And you have 3 sons. They're grown. You're empty nester. So your boys are, tell me their names.
Austin, and he is in Houston with one of our first grandchild, who will be 5 on Halloween, coming right up. We're excited about that. And then our second son, Bobby, lives here in Austin. And then our youngest also lives in Houston, Daniel, and he is just had his first child, our first granddaughter. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't it so fun, Pam?
Oh.
Isn't being a grandma just like
It is
best?
everything everybody says, and you think you're not going to be that person that pulls out your phone to show pictures, and you are sure that everyone says their babies are cute, but yours really are cute.
Yeah.
It's the best. It is absolutely the best.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah,
and
you know
you
that.
you really don't feel like you have a capacity to love a child the way that you love your own children, but you really do. It's like, I love my grandkids as much as I love my own kids. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, and you know what's interesting? We had medical problems with our middle son. And I can remember my mother saying back at the time when we were going through a lot of stuff, she used to say she said, it's so hard being a grandma because you're worried about, not only are you worried about your grandchild if they're going through something, but you're also worried about your own child and the impact of what's going on has on them. And I have really seen that. Our granddaughter spent her first 3 weeks in NICU. She's doing great now, but that I had that just panicky feeling for both my grandchild and my son and daughter-in-law. So it's a different kind of love, that's for sure.
oh yeah, it really is. That describes it perfectly. I felt the same way. I actually had the privilege of being at the birth of both of my grandsons. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
when it's your daughter, it's a different
Little
deal,
different
kind of
deal.
than your,
That's true.
it'd be kind of, I don't know, but and just to witness and be part of it, and I felt like I was such a part of it. At some point, I was saying, "Well, remember when I had Canon? Well, wait, I didn't have Canon. I was there for his birth. I would like have a Freudian slip. Like, remember when I had Cannon? She'd be like, "Oh, you had him." Oh yeah, I mean, you had him. Remember when you had him? But
awesome.
that's basically how closely you really identify with them, with those kids, and the grandkids are just such the icing on the cake. I love it so much. So you and Brian, y'all are empty nesters. Is Brian retired?
He is not. He keeps
Dabbling.
me. It keeps getting pushed out. Brian's 66, so it's time for him, in my opinion, to do it. But he is a salesman, and like all good salesmen, there's one more deal we're chasing. There's one more deal. So I'm hoping that he'll do it soon, but I don't know. It's a moving target.
I kind of feel like this is specific to my husband, because I know every husband's different, but I feel like when my husband quits working, he's going to die. I mean, honestly, because work is what's kind of been his thing his whole life. And now if he doesn't do it, what's he going to do? And I tell him that, and he says, well, I'm going to play golf. And I'm like,
But yeah, okay, so
you can only play so much golf.
okay.
It's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the mall. Well, how often can you go to the mall?
No, we've had that exact conversation, and I've worried about Brian because he is a golfer. My husband's also a big golfer, loves golf. I'm almost say he loves golf more than me, but that not. No. He loves his golf, and he says, my goal is to be able to play golf 365. And I'm like, but you really can't. And he knows that you can't play golf 365 days a year. Your body's not going to hold up. And I think he's kind of concerned because he is not, he doesn't watch much television. He's not a sit and read kind of guy. So I think it's one of those things that I think, what are you going to do? You got to, and his mother even says, you got to come up with another hobby, Brian. You've got to come up with something else to do. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, especially once you retire. I mean, playing golf is great while you're working because it's kind of goes along with it, especially in sales. But then when you retire, you can't just play golf. So, yeah, that is. Do y'all? I know you travel because you have a place in Colorado, right?
Right.
You live.
Right. We don't
seasonal
travel, in terms of going to a bunch of different places. But we do have a second home in Colorado that we bought about 3 years ago. And so we go back and forth between Austin and Colorado Springs, which has been just awesome. We really enjoy that.
I have to say I'm very jealous. I see all of the amazing places, and I mean just Colorado, the weather, and we're sitting over here sweltering,
right?
And you look like you have a light little jacket on. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
It's the truth. You can, and besides the heat and the unbearable heat and humidity, you go up there is no biting insects. I'm sure there are some, but because there's no humidity, it's so low. So you can sit outside and eat dinner. Like, we can't go out at 5:30 at night on our porch and not get eaten alive by mosquitoes, here in Austin. So I cannot believe the weather. I sit there and think, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We have not been to Colorado. I've been a couple of times. We haven't done a lot of things there, but it is on my list because Egon's cousin and her husband is Monica and Kyle, and they're about our age. I think they're maybe 2 years younger than us, but they live right outside of Boulder. I want to say like Broomfield or
yep.
Is that a place?
Yes, that's a place.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So they live there, and they also have 2 grown daughters and whatnot. And so we've traveled with them a little bit, and I really click with them, and he really clicks with them. So I feel like I really want to go out. Like, I've never been to Red Rocks.
Oh, wow.
I've never been to Estes Park. I went to Colorado when I was about 5 years old, and I went to Santa Land, and we went to a place, Beaver's Ranch, in somewhere. It was a dude ranch where you could ride horses and, do vacation, our family. But other than that, nothing.
Yeah. So that was it's interesting you say that, because we went to Colorado with the boys. We like to ski. We always took an annual ski trip with the kids growing up, and we would go to Colorado for spring break. But I had never been to Colorado in the summertime. I thought of Colorado as a winter vacation place. And then a few years ago, we got invited to a friend's house. He has a condo out in Salida, Colorado. And we went there in the summertime. And I looked at Brian. I'm like, oh my, this is when you want to be in Colorado. And that was kind of a turning point for us in terms of this could be a place we want to be.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to making some trips out there.
You'll have to come visit me in the spring.
Oh, I'm going
Which
to.
I've learned, you don't say Colorado Springs if you're from it. You say the spring.
Oh, the Springs.
The Springs.
Okay.
Where are you
The
from? And you say
Springs.
the Springs. It's like
This
you
makes-
say Colorado Springs. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, you're not a
They're
native.
yeah, they're not from here.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotta learn it. Gotta learn the protocol.
Good to know. That would be
Yes.
great. Well, I don't know if Shelly's even talked about it. We should do like a girls' trip out there
We are set up for a girls' trip.
because we love an adventure.
Yeah,
sure.
I've hosted 9 women all at the same time, and now we do have to make a little accommodations for sleeping that are a little share queen size bed with somebody, but we can do it.
Yeah, we're most of us are pretty okay.
we
with
were
whatever.
laughing, girls can just meet and say, do you want the left side of the bed or the right side of the bed? And boys, it can be their best friend, their son, and they can't share a bed. Guys cannot share beds.
Oh yeah, no. And I don't know. I do know one time my husband tried to share a room with one of his friends, and it became so bad, the snoring, that the friend took the mattress off of his bed in the hotel and went into the bathroom with it.
Oh my god.
And it's like,
oh my god.
oh, that's pretty bad. Oh.
Yep.
I think after that, he did the sleep study and he got a CPAP machine, and life was much better.
Life
but
is much better. That's
yes.
so
So
CPAP machines are marriage savers, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So how much time would you say? Now, Brian, he can work remotely, obviously, if he's in sales kind of, right?
Yeah, we right now the last 3 summers we've spent up in Colorado. And we bought a place that needed some remodeling, so we'd be there in the summertime, and then the fall and winter they were working on various projects for us. And then now we've done everything we pretty much want to do. We'd like to redo the kitchen at some point, but that time and money, it's all about it. At any rate, it's about where we want it. So we spend our summers up there. And Brian can go back and forth. He'll fly down for some things going on. And I just stay up there the whole summer.
That's so cool.
I could stay up there in the wintertime. He isn't really that interested in the wintertime. I also like to quilt. So and we have this beautiful view of Pikes Peak. So I have this image in my head of sitting on my sewing machine with snow falling on Pikes Peak and hot chocolate in my hand and the fire in the fireplace. I'm like, I could be happy doing that with my dogs at my feet. That does not involve golf. So
Yeah.
he's not as interested. He wants to come back here and play golf.
Yeah, I guess you would have to really take up more wintertime activities, maybe like, I don't know, ice fishing or
Ice fishing. Okay, that is not
snowshoeing.
I know. Okay, have you
I
ever
was thinking
tried
for him.
snowshoeing?
I have not tried it.
Okay, I thought it would. I don't know why I thought it would be easy. It is exhausting. I did it recently. Well, recently, it's been several years ago. When I went with a friend of mine, Jeannie Olson, and I went snowshoeing, and it's hard work, man. And then if you fall down, which I did, it involves it's an effort. It is not. I'm like, oh, that looks fun. It's not. It's not fun, girls and boys. It's not fun.
No, that does seem like a lot of workout for sure. Like, I mean, I have tried cross country skiing, and that in itself is very difficult too. I mean, it is a very difficult workout.
Yes.
So, wow, that's a great. I love that. Colorado, part of your time is Colorado. So, do you normally fly back and forth,
We
or
do.
do you?
Well,
okay.
it depends. I should say that. In the summertime, the last few summers, what we've done is we've driven up. We have 2 little dogs, so they go with us, of course. They do fit under the seats on Southwest, so when we fly, they'll go under the seats. That was one of the criteria when we were adopting dogs from the animal shelter, was couldn't get bigger than what could fit under the seat.
You put that on the wish list.
It was.
Wish list of the puppy application.
We want a non-shedding dog that can fit under a Southwest Airlines seat, please. I was afraid that was going to get us, banished from the animal rescue.
Yeah,
but
and they're like, and they come out and say, "And would you like some Grey Poupon?" That too. It's like, oh my gosh, I would love to see that.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, when we go up for the summer, we typically drive my car up there, and the dogs, and that's mainly because I cannot have. My husband says, Pam, you need 2 wardrobes. You need one for Texas and one for Colorado. But it just doesn't work that way for girls, like shoes and belts and accessories. I mean, he has golf clothes, so it's easy for him to have golf clothes in both locations. Me, not. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So I always translate for all my clothes. Not all of them, but a large percentage.
that would be the hard part, I would imagine, the back and forth, and then it would be like, oh, well, where's this? Oh, well, that's at the Austin house. I left that at home.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
It makes you crazy.
Yeah.
And like you're missing a piece of jewelry. Did I take that? Was it back in Texas? Is it?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes me crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're anything like me. I'm sure that from what I hear from some of my other friends getting in the older into their, not older, but into their 60s.
Yeah, that's what
is you start like really having trouble remembering where you put stuff and where it is, and do I even have this, or did I just think I had it, or did I throw it away?
No, it's true. It kind of scares you sometimes.
And I really love that you had. I love on your podcast how you focus a lot on these issues like the downsizing, the decluttering, the setting yourself up for retirement.
Right.
I know it sounds like for somebody like me who's kind of like really like, yeah, well, we know to do that. You prepare for things. But surprisingly, when I'm listening to that, I'm like, yeah, that's a really great idea.
You know what's interesting, Kim, is that I saw a funny Instagram reel, and this is how my brain works, right? And it was a woman about my age sitting in her car, listening to some music with her sunglasses on, and it said, me realizing that girls born in the 90s are 35 years old now. And then it said, ... the same age I am. And I thought, that's like in my head, I feel like I'm about 30. I know. I mean, that sounds silly, but I just know. So when you're sitting there and you start really thinking, okay, we are AARP age. We are, we are considered, I play a lot of mahjong, and we always are talking about places to play mahjong, and one of them is the Senior Citizen Activity Center. And you're like, that's for old people, 55 and older. You know what I mean?
I know.
I know. It's such a mind shift to start going. We are in, I don't want to say the final chapter, but the final third. I'll go with that. How about the final third of our life? It's time to start thinking about those things.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it is. That's what I told Egon. I said I'm in the last third, and are you going to be in it with me? The last. We need to evaluate this.
I recorded a podcast this morning. My friend Cass Grain, she was on the show once before, and we talked about. We were actually talking about aging in place. How many people want to age in place? Mm-hmm. And today we were talking about how do you gift money to your adult children? That was the topic. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that I'm hearing my friends talk about. So that's where that kind of the genesis of my podcast came from, is what are the things that my friends are talking about, and how can we, do it better? How can we approach it better and be realistic about what's going on and enjoy our lives fully,
Yeah. I mean, I did look it up because I was like, surely I'm not a senior citizen. Okay. So I did look it up, and according to AI, I don't think, you're 60?
I'm 60. I'll be 64 in February.
Okay, so you are not a senior citizen either. It's 65 and over.
Okay, so
it's considered a common age for senior status.
But it's funny though, like I was listening to the news the other day, and there was some story on, and it said, this person had committed a mugging robbery on an elderly woman who was 59 years old, and literally described her elderly at 59. And I thought, wow, elderly is 59. It's like, and my mother, who is 93, she's like, she hates the word elderly. She just, like, I don't know when she's going to think she's an elderly person, but she doesn't yet.
Good for
That's
her.
such a judgment call. She said, elderly. Why can't they just say the age? Like, where did elderly have to even get put in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that I agree with that. And I was thinking about that too. And I mean, it's like already when it's like for me, when I turn 60, it seems like it's like I can't see, I can't hear, I can't remember. I'm almost even can't smell and taste a lot thanks to COVID, I think. But I'm barely able to taste food and smell food.
Well, and aren't you finding too? I mean, all of our friends, like you used to sit there and talk about, oh my gosh, they get old, and you start talking about all your aches and pains and surgeries and whatnot. Well, guess what? That's what's happening with my friends. I mean, it's like people are having knee replacements. People are having hip replacements.
I know. Because as you get older, you replace your job with doctor's appointments. And, like eye doctor and ear and, every doctor is a different body part. So it takes a lot to go through that list of doctors to keep yourself into prime. The key to getting older is keep yourself in a good prime shape and keep yourself healthy and take care of your inner and your outer body, and hopefully we can be like your mom. What's your mom's name?
Barbara.
Well, hopefully we can be like Barbara. Yeah. And your dad?
My dad, yes, both my parents, they both just celebrated their 93rd birthdays. God. And they'll celebrate their 73rd wedding anniversary on Valentine's Day. They've been together. They've known each other since kindergarten.
That's so sweet. I love that.
They live in their own house. They are not in independent living yet. I will say thanks a lot to one of my sisters who lives close by, and she checks in on them every day and does a lot of stuff for them. But
wow, to be in your 90s and be able to live in your home, and that's amazing.
And my mother-in-law's the same way. She's 91. And she lives, not only does she live in her own place, she goes back and forth. She has a condo in Florida, and she flies back and forth to Florida every winter. And she said to us, we were at our 90th birthday. She said, "Do you think I should sell my condo in Florida?" And she was asking the kids, and we all said, "As long as you're enjoying it, why sell it?" And she's like, "Well, when I die, y'all are going to have to handle it." And we're like, we'll handle it. I mean, if you're still enjoying it, go do it, girlfriend.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
I think that
she's a rock star.
I learned a lot about go live life and have fun from Shelley, because she just says do it. Just go do it.
Okay, how did you and Shelley meet?
So we both have boys on the autism spectrum, and our boys were going to ESY, extended school year, through AISD, and they were at, I can't remember, Sanchez Elementary, maybe, wasn't our home school. So they were in maybe first grade. And
are they the same age, Colton?
Yeah, Coulter's like maybe 9 months older than Jake, maybe. So they're both, I think Coulter's just turned 26 and Jake is 25. But anyway, they had gotten into a fight.
The two boys?
Yes, at school, and then the teacher had reached out to Shelley and said, and then reached out to me and said, and so we went up, I guess, and so we went up. We were at the school, and we're like, okay, well, and I mean, Shelley tells the story where Jake beat up Coulter, but I'm not sure. I don't know if that really happened quite like that. But I mean, it's highly possible he really is. He probably did, but I don't really recall Jake really being the aggressor. She says Coulter came home all beat up and Jake didn't have a mark on him, but I don't know if I believe that. That's Shelley's retelling the story.
I'll have to ask Shelley for her version.
Yeah. We may have to look up some of those teachers. I'm sure they're still around back then. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we clicked immediately. We're both Virgos. We have, as different as we are, I think we're kind of kindred. This is my point of view. We're kind of kindred spirits because we think along the same lines about things, and she's really changed my point of view about the way I look at a lot of things in life. I used to be much more like for example, we went through this thing called Stuck, and it was just some people that it's kind of a religious base. Well, it is religious based, and if you get in a point in your life where you're kind of stuck and how to kind of move through that. So we were with a bunch of women, and they were going around talking about soulmates, and I have not had a soulmate since I lost my mother. In my mind, I haven't had a soulmate. And
how old were you when you lost your mother?
Let's see. I was late 40s.
Okay.
But since then, I have just never felt that there was anyone that was my soulmate. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Well, anyway, Shelley proceeds to let me know that I could be my own soulmate. And I don't know what it was about that. Because when it came around to her, when we were sharing who's your soulmate, most of them were like their husbands, rightly so, a lot of, But your husband does not have to be your soulmate. Doesn't mean I don't love my husband.
Right. No, I would not say my husband is my soulmate. I've had a couple of girlfriends that I would say, just, yeah. You don't even have to speak. You get it, that you understand. They don't have to explain it.
Yes.
They know.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed. That's kind of the way I look at soulmate too. And so
I love that idea. I've never thought about being your own soulmate. That's
what she said. She said, I am my own soulmate. Adrian is not my soulmate, and she's got Jody, and she does have some very close friends, and I know she loves every one of them dearly, but she said, I'm my own soulmate. Because that's the only person you can really count on in this life is yourself. And that's the truth.
Along that same lines, one of the most interesting comments that I've heard that I've thought about it a lot. It's like, what is the most important, the most important relationship that you have in your life? And you think about your husband, your whatever. And the answer really was, it's really the relationship you have with yourself. Right?
Exactly.
And you think about, because you spend more time with yourself than anybody else. And so it sounds kind of ridiculous, but if you think about it, what is that inner dialogue, that conversation that you're having with yourself? Is it critical? Is it judgmental? Is it loving? Is it supportive? Wow, you shouldn't have done that. That's so stupid. I can't believe, is it that? Or are you it's kind of along that same lines of being your own soulmate. Like,
right.
How do you nurture yourself and connect with yourself more deeply, right?
Right. And one of the things that I had to learn, because I was very hard on myself, never good enough, never doing enough, never measuring up. And finally, with some therapy, I finally just realized that I don't treat anybody else like that. I don't treat other people like that.
Yep.
And why am I treating myself that way? And
Amen.
I started having a love fest with myself. No toys involved.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that,
love fest with myself, of just loving who I am and being graceful with myself and knowing that I'm doing the very best I can. And if I don't measure up to some astronomical level that I think I should be at, stop.
Because what do? We judge ourselves with what we know now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't I blah, blah, blah? It's the Maya Angelou quote, you did what you knew how to do, and when you knew better, you did better.
Correct.
And, we took things, I also have a special needs kid. That's a whole kid, young adult.
Mm-hmm.
That is a whole gamut of issues and feelings and challenges that and I should have done it differently. I should be, why, I got frustrated with him, and I beat myself up about certain things.
You beat yourself up for being a human being.
Right.
And these are things that are normal things, but for some reason, you as this mom of the special needs person should do more, should be more.
Be better.
Should be better.
Right.
Should know better, and should have more in you to give than the average normal person, because it should just be that way. And so once I let all that go, because that was just all noise in my own head of all these expectations. Do you go to Kathy?
No.
Okay. You need to go see Kathy Morgan. You might even know her. She used to work for AISD. Okay. I met her. Okay, let me tell you how I met Kathy.
Therapy? I actually have a therapist.
Okay. She is
Dr. Kyle, by the way. Plug for Dr. Sarah Kyle.
Dr. Sarah. Okay. Kathy really, she sees a couple of people that I do know, but she used to work in AISD. The reason why she's been so helpful with me is she came to one of my very first ARD meetings at Kiker, and she was a district behavior specialist. And she was younger, and she sat down at that table, and all the people that were in there, Lori and all of the people sitting in there, and I thought, she's the only one that knows what's going on. She gets him. Like she was explaining, well, when he's doing this is what's going on. And I thought, oh my God, this woman gets it. And it stuck in my brain. And many years later, someone mentioned something about a therapist, and it was Kathy Morgan. And I remembered the name Kathy Morgan. I was like, no, I'm sure Kathy Morgan's a common name.
Right.
And it was the same Kathy Morgan. And I was like, oh, I love that lady. And so I have been seeing her for a number of years now. She's helped me tremendously.
That is really interesting, because it is like, I look back at my time with Bobby at Kiker and just through middle school and high school. Because this is kind of was always an interesting dilemma for me, because I was on the staff at the school. I heard stories about those parents who came in there and raised hell, and I didn't want to be viewed as one of those parents. I'm doing air quotes right now.
Yes.
And so I bent over backwards to be accommodating to whatever they said we should or shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, I feel like I did Bobby a disservice. I didn't advocate for him strongly enough. I kind of just, okay, whatever, y'all. I mean, and of course, we did. You did what you knew how to do, and I did what I thought was right at the time. And, we didn't have a clear diagnosis for him
and back
for a long
then,
time. Yeah, I mean, we're talking 30 years ago, right?
Wow. I look at people now getting diagnosed with things, and I'm like, wow, it's so simple now. I mean, not simple, but it's easier once to get
we were.
We didn't. We had to go years and years without even a diagnosis of anything.
That's exactly. See, we didn't get him diagnosed until he was starting middle school with his issues. And it was, and yeah, it's just, but sometimes in my therapist says, Dr. Sarah Kyle, again, plug Dr. Sarah Kyle. She also has her own podcast. That's, Dr. Kyle on Shody Media with Rachel Howe.
Oh, I have listened to her. That's what I was thinking. Okay, I've heard the name. Okay,
it's,
yes.
Why isn't my blanking out? AF. Dating AF.
Yes.
Dating AF.
I actually met her. Yes.
She's awesome.
I've met her.
She's awesome.
Okay.
Yes, she and Rachel do a podcast about women dating women. That's what theirs is on. But you should really listen to it, whatever your orientation is, because it's really relationship issues. Right. What they talk a lot about. But one of the things she said to me in therapy and to Brian, she said, look, you guys need to look at this as like being at a train station, right? And Bobby's on one set of tracks and he's plodding along, and Pam's on one side of tracks and Brian's on one side of tracks. And you're trying to catch up to each other. And you know what? You may never catch up to where the other person is, right? But it's everybody's personal journey, Bobby's journey of his own life and acceptance of who he is, mine as his mother, Brian as his father. And, you judge each other like we should all be here at the same place. You may get there and you may not get there.
Right.
And that was that was a big relief to me, as to kind of look at it like, you see these reports on 60 Minutes, the mother that sat next to her kid every day in college and got him through college, and like, yeah, that ain't gonna be me, I mean, that's not, I don't have that, know, and it's okay. It's okay not to be that person.
Yeah, I think that was a huge thing for me, is realizing when Jake was 25 or 24 really, that I don't have to carry the responsibility of his parenting for the rest of his life, being his caretaker, his mother, his everything. And in the beginning, it was really hard to know that, because he's still, in his brain, he's still a little kid. His body may look 25, but his brain is not 25, and so that's what makes it, tricky. But
and how do you protect him, and how do you provide for him? And, all of those things come as part, it's not quite this, you always worry about that with all of your kids, but when you have a special needs kid, it takes on a whole different...
Oh, it does. It takes on a whole different level.
Who will love my kid? Will somebody love them? Will they have friends? Will they have a happy life? What's going to happen when I'm not here anymore?
I had this exact conversation with one of my dear friends last night, and I feel like, because, and I love her, and I know she gets a lot of it, but sometimes I feel like my friends that don't have special needs kids, they just don't, they empathize, they sympathize with it, I guess, but they really don't get it. And I just finally said, look, your son went out, he graduated from college, he's an engineer, he played football, he is now engaged, and now he will have a wonderful woman who will love him and take care of him, and probably children that will love him and take care of him the rest of his life. Who is going to love Jake right now?
Amen.
Right now, you know who loves Jake?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of people that love him,
but
they'll know there won't be anybody that steps up when the chips are down, and that man needs something or whatever. That I'm it. And it is a lot of pressure a lot of times, isn't it? It's a lot of, and
I think, I don't know about your husband, Brian, he compartmentalizes it, right? Which is what men do, it's like, I don't want to think about that because I can't do anything about it, right? They want to fix things. If what can I do to fix it? I can't fix it. So what I can do is focus on my job and earn money to throw at it.
Yeah.
Or I'm being...
Oh, that's totally exactly what happened to us.
Provide for him to do what we can't, I'm not dismissing the importance of that. But whereas we as mama bears we might be doing other things, but it's always present. It's always in the background of your mind of what can I do? Is he okay?
Right, even when things are good. That's what my husband doesn't understand.
Yes.
Like, why are you still worrying when he's fine? Like, why are you... because...
I'm almost waiting for the other shoe to fall, right?
Yeah. That takes a lot of work. And it really takes a lot of work to learn how to let yourself be happy again.
Bobby's working now and he has a job, whatever. But I swear to God, he calls me pretty much every day, several times during the day, and I mean, every time that phone rings and I see it's him, my stomach kind of drops. Like, did he get fired? Did something, did he back into somebody at work? Did he, did he get into a problem? Did something happen that upset him, because, and so it's very...
Because you know why? It's not because you're crazy. It's because something always happens. And it's just because that's life and that's the way it is. And we unfortunately can't protect the babies from everything. We can just do what we can do. And I think we do it pretty well for these guys. But it is hard. I can remember taking Jake to go to work over at P. Terry's, and he would get out and I would just think, oh, dear God, just let him not yell out, fuck, in the middle of P. Terry's, or it's just something ludicrous, or just let him be successful today.
Right.
And then it would be like, and then Shelley would like, you got 2 hours, woo! But it would be like, I'd be sitting there with diarrhea, worried about him.
Yep.
And feeling like if I'm not holding on to this, it's all going to fall apart. Yeah, it's tough. It really is.
I get
I'm
it.
so glad that I have you to talk about with this.
I completely.
Sorry.
I have some of the most amazing, supportive, wonderful friends. But like you said, if you don't have somebody, if you don't have a child in that situation, it's really hard to understand the preoccupation that and the amount of that it consumes.
And believe me, we do not believe me. Hear this, people. We do not want to be obsessed with our sons.
No.
We do not want to. We don't want to think about them day and night. We're trying to live a life and to find some peace and happiness in our last third.
Yeah, our last third. We're in the third period of the hockey game. Here is another question I have for you. Do you have, and then also, what is the impact on your other children? Okay, you have a daughter. I have 2 other boys, and so like there's times I look back and see what did my preoccupation take away from their experience, that didn't nurture them to be the way that I have regrets about that too. I'm guilt on that front.
Absolutely. I know. I had a little different scenario with Cassidy because she was 12 when I had Jake. There's 12 years age difference between Jake and Cassidy. Okay. And Jake was a very welcomed, happy surprise that came from out of nowhere because I was like 34 years old and I'm not supposed to get pregnant. Anyway, so
that's not to be having a baby.
Yeah. Well, back then it was like, if you after 30 you won't be able to have children.
And particularly having a 12-year-old, it wasn't on your brain.
Yeah, and so she was already kind of getting into that. Not even though obviously she wouldn't, but I was also a single parent for 10 years with her. So she had a mother that worked and was gone. And I mean, I was there always raising my daughter, but I was a single mother. So that I was a single mother. Okay. I was a single mother with Cassidy. I was married to her dad for about 2 years. We were high school sweethearts. And we divorced. I was in San Antonio and I was a property manager, and then I was a regional property manager, and then I wound up getting a job offer here in Austin with a commercial real estate guy that wanted me to do. I did acquisitions and dispositions, and so I traveled some, only through the state though.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, I didn't, by the time I had Jake, and people would think, oh, well, that would be great because it would be like a helper. No.
Yeah.
Not my 12-year-old.
Yeah. That's a lot to put on them anyway.
And I wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
And I
was going to say, that's not her job, right?
I'm pretty sure that, I really haven't asked Cass about this, but I'm pretty sure that I have never made any reliance or I have not put anything on her from Jake. In other words, you're if something happens to Egon and I, you are the executor of the estate, but you're not in charge of him. Right. You're not. I just want to make sure that you make sure he's okay, right? But not take care of him.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, and then so I didn't really have that, but I did when my grandsons came along. Here's where I feel like I kind of missed is. I was in a really, really bad place with Jake. We were deep in PANDAS and PANS. And so...
You were deep in what?
PANDAS, it's pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorder associated with strep.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And I just listen to my last podcast I did with that author, Melissa Nolan, because her son had it too.
Wow.
And it is a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And we've been dealing with it and treating it for 10 years.
Holy smokes.
10 years. And so I'm going to do a whole podcast section on it. I have to be in a good mindset for it because it really causes me talk about a lot of PTSD is that old PANDAS and PANS. But yeah.
Wow.
I mean, once
So you were starting to say, go back, rewind. You were talking about you felt like it might have affected your grandchildren.
yes,
right?
because I just really, there were periods of time where I could only focus on Jake. I couldn't leave him. He had such bad PTSD. He couldn't go to school. He was on homebound. And even homebound he couldn't do. The anxiety level was just through the roof. We couldn't even get him into the car to go to doctor's appointments.
And you know what? Anxiety is such a hard thing to deal with, and it's so frustrating for other people when somebody's experiencing anxiety, because you just don't. You're like, just get in the freaking car, you know.
I
like,
know.
Just
Well,
can you just do this? It's
and what's
fine.
really
you know?
frustrating, Pam, is when you go to the doctor and you tell them, and then they just hand you an anti-anxiety medication. And unfortunately, we got on all that wheels, and that was horrible. And all, I could do like a whole series of podcasts on just medications.
Oh, yeah.
On. But
I joined that one too.
What do you think? Because you had sons, and they were closer in age.
Yes. So for me, our oldest son is still very much the stereotypical firstborn child. He was very responsible, he was smart, still is, still very much is, but he took care of himself, he was a rule follower. If you told him this, I tell this story, gives you an insight into his personality. When he was 2.5, he was sucking on a pacifier, and we saw the pediatric dentist, and the dentist said to me, you really ought to try to get that pacifier away from him because it's bad for his teeth, blah, blah, blah. And I said to the dentist, don't tell me, tell him. And he told Austin, and Austin went home, collected all of his pacifiers, and threw them in the trash can. That is that kind of kid. I also joke, that when I went into labor with him on his due date at 9:00 in the morning, and he was born at 6 p.m. A work day. Like he was.
Wow.
He is
very.
He's on time. He's scheduled. He puts in a full day. He
got the memo.
Yeah,
what to do.
He always, we'd study our spelling words on. They came home with spelling words on Monday. We'd review them on Monday. He'd take the test on Friday. Then my second child comes along, and we didn't know for a while that something was wrong, I shouldn't say wrong, but something was.
Something was awry.
Yeah. For a while. And, I was still kind of, I realized that I helped Austin, our oldest, less than the average person helps their average kid, right? Like I didn't know he was doing a project unless he asked me for poster boards. He took care of himself, he managed his stuff, and that was it. And then suddenly I have this kid that isn't that way. And so I'm still trying to treat him like I treated Austin. But to back up to what you were talking about, was I feel like in a lot of ways, I may have, I don't want to say ignored Austin, but he was okay.
Right. He didn't need your full attention.
If you told him to do 30 minutes of reading, he did 30 minutes of reading. I didn't have to sit up and say, get back over there, sit down, do your reading. Didn't have to do that. Study, he did his homework. He turned it in. We didn't have any issues. And so he was very, I feel like sometimes I didn't pay enough attention to him, maybe like he needed me.
I have that same feeling with my daughter too. I feel like that she had to grow up because she had a working mom, and I don't have time for all this nonsense. I don't have time for drama. I don't have time for this. We don't, all this. We don't have time for all this gentle parenting of.
Yes.
I wasn't strict, but I was just really, I'm real no nonsense. Like, we're not going to do that, and that's the end of that. There's no discussion about it, kind of thing. But she didn't need me, and she didn't ever ask me for anything, and didn't ever cause me one iota of stress.
I have,
thank God.
One of my most traumatic memories in my head. This, you're going to laugh at this. You know, as you may remember, I used to do the school newsletter back in the day, the blue sheet, and the weekly blue sheet. And I can remember when Austin was probably 10 or 11, and he had gone to bed, and it was Thursday night, and the blue sheet came out on Friday, and I'm working in my office trying to get it done. And he came into my office, and it was, 10 or 11. And he said, "I can't sleep. Will you come lay down with me?" And I told him no. I had to get the blue sheet done. And it still makes me cry because I think about, and he went back to bed, Listen, I don't know why it chokes me up, but I just feel like that wasn't like, how many times does your 11-year-old say, "Please come lay down with me," right? Anyway, I do think that kind of characterizes how I viewed him, and that he was strong and capable and he didn't need me.
Well, and the flip side of that, though, is too, think about this, Pam, is like, those kind of things are also what forms him as an adult.
Right.
And, maybe if he had said, "But I really want you to," you would have said, "Okay," but once you said no and he went back and everything was fine, he didn't need me after all. So sometimes not coming in and being the everything to your child, that actually, I think, kind of makes them a little bit stronger.
Right.
I really do. I know that I'm the same way. I want to make my kids' life so much easier and do everything for them and be everything for them. But sometimes even an 11-year-old has to figure things out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting as I look back at it now, right? And again.
And that it still affects you, and that
it
you're still
does.
thinking about it.
Not
that you're sitting around dwelling on it, but you know what I mean?
too.
That
Like,
you
it's
get
one
that-
of those things I think about, like, oh, I'd give anything to go back and go crawl into bed next to him, and lay with him. And I was such a, no, I can't. And then, as for my youngest, Daniel, I've sometimes felt with him that he knew he was younger, but he felt responsible for his brother, and they were closer in school age than the other two. So I think he felt like he needed to take care of Bobby. And Bobby knew that Daniel was younger than him and that he shouldn't take care of him, right? Like, so there was some interesting dynamics at play that where Daniel took on this role of, I'm got to be the big brother, but I can't let him think I'm the big brother. Like,
Right.
He doesn't want me to boss him around or tell him what to do, but Daniel felt a protective need to take care of Bobby that way.
That's amazing. And it sounds to me like that, given the circumstances of everything, all that glitters is not gold. My mother told me that. And so I know that there was hard things, but it sounds to me like the boys were somewhat accepting of the fact that they had a brother that needed help. And not because I know how some kids can be. Even my own two grandsons, love them as much as I do. They vie for attention, and they're very competitive, and they're very, well, he got more, he got bigger, he got this. And I'm just like really weirded out by that. As a mom, I can't imagine, because I didn't experience kids close in age, so I don't know that dynamic of vying for, and I can imagine having a kid that needs more attention could be viewed as like, they're not there for me enough, or I'm not getting your attention,
Right.
or you don't see me.
You're right. And maybe, like,
Of course, they are boys.
I'm creating in my own head, and maybe that's not what they did. I do see now my youngest child, Daniel, is a very compassionate young man, and he's also very sensitive to mental health issues. He's an advocate for people being treated for mental health, for it not being a secret, a shame thing to be. He advocates for people anxiety issue. I mean, and he is his friends, his circle of friends is such an amazing group of people. And I see how he takes care of his friends. He's a good person. And I maybe that is one of the residual effects
Absolutely.
of his experience. I don't know. I'd have to ask him of that. But
He probably just doesn't even think about it because
Right.
that's the way men are. But I don't know why I do those.
It's an interesting, and they knew, and like the other story that I tell about when we were kind of realizing with Bobby the significant issues he was having. Mainly, it was kind of very hitting the wall socially at the end of elementary school. We knew it in elementary school, but we just didn't quite have what was going on. And so we decided we needed to maybe reconsider putting, at the time it was Bailey Middle School that he'd go to. And Austin had gone to Bailey. He was finishing up 8th grade, and he heard me on the phone. Bobby was finishing up Kiker and going to be going to middle school, and I was investigating private middle schools Austin said to me, so he heard me on the phone, and he said, so you're thinking about putting Bobby somewhere else for middle school? And I said, yeah. And I at the time, I really wasn't discussing a lot of the, we didn't really discuss what was going on with the kids at that point. We didn't even really know ourselves, right? And I said, Austin, I'm just not sure that Bailey's the right fit for Bob. Because I didn't want to say it was a bad fit for you, right? Like that's where he'd just finished, and he got very quiet, and he said, Mom, Bobby will get eaten alive at Bailey Middle School.
He saw it, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, you know what? More than any doctor, psychiatrist, educational specialist, teacher, his own brother, who'd just gone through Bailey Middle School and didn't have problems as far as I know.
Right.
Yeah, but middle school sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
He saw it, right? So I thought they knew their brother. They knew what it was like.
So how old is he?
So they're, in terms of the age.
How old is
Austin?
My
oldest is 37. He'll be.
So he really, he was, my daughter they were probably at Bailey together. She went to Bailey also.
It was when it was so freaking crowded. Like they went from crowded at Kiker to crowded at Bailey. There was 1,800 people.
Yeah, Cassidy went to Bailey, and she was on that, I don't know what that little dance team is.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Starlets or what, I don't know what it is, but she got into herself into dance. And then I remember she did choir, and I went to the performance, and I said, I think you should stick with dance.
Well, we definitely don't have the singing gene. My mother-in-law has a beautiful voice, but none of my kids or my side of the family has any ability to sing. Although I do like to sing on your birthday. When's your birthday? I'll call you and sing to you.
Yeah, for sure. I love to sing. I can't talk about, the people around me are any too happy about it, but I go to a concert and I'm just belting it out.
That's
I'm
right.
sure they all love me. But, okay, well, I'm trying to figure out, is there anything else that we want to chit-chat about? This was so much fun.
So much fun.
This was so fun. I feel like we could talk about a whole bunch of other things.
I know, but
because we didn't even get to talk about mahjong.
I know mahjong is my thing. I am going to be doing a couple episodes on mahjong on my podcast. I'm going to be interviewing a woman who is kind of a rule expert, which sounds really weird, but in the mahjong world, there's always controversies about the rules and whatever. And so we're going to be having some fun talking about that. And I have a friend who is a mahjong tile collector. He has beautiful sets and over 300 of them.
I don't know diddly squat about it, but I'm thinking, should I learn?
Girl, you should definitely
I love
learn.
games.
I will teach anybody.
I love games.
I'm a good teacher. We started, the only thing I started Austin, Texas Mahjong Facebook group. I started it in March. We are now at almost 1,000 people in less than 8 months.
I actually think I'm actually on that group.
Well, get in there if you're.
I'm on that group, but I'm actually just like an armchair quarterback.
You're like
mahjong.
like
looking at it.
lurker.
Then I look
You're
at
one of those lurkers. I know about you,
like,
Kim.
Well, those little things, is that like Japanese?
Yeah.
What are those?
They're Chinese.
Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's interesting is, I know pink is obviously your color. Y'all should see her adorable studio that they have. I'm sitting in her home studio, and it's so stinking cute with all the pink. there's some beautiful pink tiles that would just look fabulous in this room.
Okay, well, I think I want to learn. So if I want to learn, what do I need to do? Do I need to go buy me some mahjong tiles?
Don't buy anything. Call me.
Okay.
Because if one set is good, then 7 must be better. I have several sets and cards, and I have everything you need. So until you decide that you want to,
should I do like a buddy, like me and a friend?
My idea.
People. Maybe
I love
get Liz
teaching
to do it.
4 people at the same time.
Okay,
that's my ideal number is to have, because you always play mahjong. Well, the ideal number is 4 people. So it almost works better to teach 4 at a time than to try to do 1, because then you can simulate a real game and whatever.
Right.
So
right. Okay. Well,
call me, sister.
I'm gonna definitely get 3 friends and play some mahjong for sure.
It is. It's kind of they're saying it's kind of the bunko of the of whatever the 2020s. Like we were bunko of the 90s is now mahjong.
Well,
today.
anything good for your brain and anything where I can kind of socialize or be around people, I'm in, because I'm there.
And
it sounds like
that was what I used to say. That was when people started talking about mahjong. When I first heard about it, people would say, "Oh, it's really good for your brain, but it's hard to learn." And I'm like. And then I started thinking, they don't think I'm smart enough to learn this mahjong? And so it was my goal for 2024 to learn to play. And my sister and I did it. And I am obsessed with it. I just think I play in tournaments. I play casually. I'll teach anybody who wants to learn. It's a lot of fun.
That's so fun. Okay. Well, I'm gonna sign up for that class.
Okay.
I'm gonna find me 3 friends.
3 friends, or I'll find you 3 friends too to play.
Maybe I can even get Cass to do it. Maybe Cass and I can do it, and then we can talk about it on our podcast.
Oh, there you go. We should get Shelly and Jody. I don't know if we get Shelly and Jody to do it.
Well, I thought Shelly was playing.
I don't know. She talked about it. Yeah. Maybe they've learned, but I need to. I call it my cult. I need to draw them into the cult.
I know.
The cult.
I know. Well, I would love to do it, and
Yeah.
I have a little bit of time, so yeah.
All right. Well, I've sure enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
And if we want to maybe do this again sometime, let me know.
I would
love to chit chat.
I love it. The time goes by so fast.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's so much fun to see this and to visit with other podcasters, doing this thing.
I'm hoping we'll get to do more. We'll do some more stuff. I'm sure we got some little. Shelly likes to put together little activities.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll get to.
She's an organizer. She's an organizer.
All right. Thank you.